All right, so hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. So for those of you who are new, my name is Christiane, otherwise known here as IHEARTAIRBRUSH. And today we're just gonna go ahead and get into some Graftobian. This video has been a long time coming. And you know, I just had the hardest time filming this video. I don't know what it is about all the details. It just had me all crazy and just lost in translation. But I'm here today and we gonna get it done, son. So if you are interested in learning a little bit about the Graftobian GlamAire foundation, my review of it, my thoughts of it, and the question we all want to know, would I recommend it, then please keep on watching. All right, so I got my notes, because you know your girl needs to have notes, otherwise I can ramble on all day long about makeup and airbrush makeup, okay? So let's just go ahead and stick to the notes. The first thing we're going to do in this video is hit up the specs on this GlamAire line, okay? So GlamAire from Graftobian. In a previous video, I did make a huge error and listed Graftobian's airbrush makeup alongside a bunch of other brands that were silicone based. I just want to go on record saying that Graftobian's GlamAire line is a water-based line, not a hybrid formula. There are no silicones in it at all. Now that my conscience is clear, let's get back to the review, shall we? They offer a full range of shades, which includes a whopping 58 shades, guys. That's 58 shades. And surprisingly so, they are all organized and categorized by undertone. So honestly, if you can't find your shade match in Graftobian, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing? Okay, so out of those 58 foundation shades, they offer 19 that have a warm undertone, 22 that have a neutral undertone, and 17 that have a cool undertone. And that doesn't even conclude the blush shades, okay, because they do offer 6 blush shades that are also categorized by undertone. So we have 2 of which have a warm undertone, 3 with a neutral undertone, and 1 with a cool undertone. They also offer 6 adjuster shades, which is good for, you know, the good old color theory. If you want to create your own custom colors, do a custom shadow look, or do something avant-garde, they got you covered, okay? So their GlamAire airbrush line has a total of 71 shades, okay, which are all easily intermixable as airbrush makeup is, which is pretty flipping amazing if you ask me. As far as pricing goes, because you know we all want to know the price and is it cost effective, you can purchase the 1-ounce bottles for about $20 each. They do have discounted options on the website if you purchase more than 1 bottle, so definitely check that out, and they do have specials as well. I'll have the website linked in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check that out. But if you aren't interested in purchasing the 1-ounce bottle, say you need to test your shade, honey, you know, they do offer HD sampler packs. And this is an introductory pack that includes 5 foundations along with a palette of their HD creams that mirror those airbrush foundation shades. Yes, you heard me right. They have HD creams that are exactly the same shade as the airbrush shades they offer in the sampler packs, which is honestly, thank you so much, Graftobian, for doing that, because a lot of brands don't correspond their airbrush makeup with a cream option or a concealing option, and it makes it real difficult, especially if you like to go ahead and mix mediums, say you need a little extra coverage. You know, your girl would be real happy to go ahead and get a cream product that matches that airbrush product, because we want cohesion, okay? There are 3 options for the sampler packs. The first option is the Warm 2, which is from the middle of their yellow undertone range. Then you have the Cool 1, which is from the lightest of their pink undertone range. And then lastly, they have the Neutral 3, which is from the darkest of their neutral undertone range. And these sampler packs run for about $45. So it's an amazing deal that you get the HD creams on top of the 5 foundation shades, which are the 1/4-ounce sizes, for only $45. So kudos, Graftobian. So now that we know a little bit of the specs, I want to go ahead and show you some swatches of the shades that I have. I have the Warm 2 sampler pack. I actually got it from a friend of mine. She's so kind as to gift me the Warm 2 set, which is friggin' amazing because I've been waiting for the longest time to actually try this foundation out, and contrary to popular belief, I don't get sent everything that I use on my channel. I do have to purchase a lot of what you see. Thank you so much to my amazing dear friend. You know who you are. She's been a subscriber to my channel for the longest time, since the beginning, and I will have her info linked in the description box below. I definitely recommend to go ahead and check out her channel, because she too did a review of the Graftobian GlamAire foundation as well as their walk around system, guys. I am saving for that walk around system because I really want to try that system. I've been wanting to try it for years now. But anyways, if you want to go ahead and check out their walk around system and also get another opinion about the GlamAire foundation, then I definitely recommend you check her out. I will link all of her stuff down below. All right, so now back to the makeup, because you know I get sidetracked and I like to go ahead and talk a lot. So back to the makeup. Alright, so now that you've seen some swatches, let's just go ahead and get into the actual review on this foundation based on my personal experience, okay? You might have a different experience with the Graftobian GlamAire foundation. Everything that I say, everything that I list is based on my experience, okay? And for those of you who are curious or who are going to come at me in a sideways fashion, I have combo to oily skin with discoloration and texture, okay? So all of the points that I'm going to be talking about throughout the rest of this video is based on my skin type and my experience with this foundation, okay? The first thing I want to go ahead is talk about the consistency of the foundation. The consistency is pretty thin on this foundation. It's actually very runny in comparison to some of the other formulas that I've tried. And, you know, sometimes the runnier the foundations, that's where, you know, coverage can kind of be affected there. So why not just go ahead and dive right into the coverage? The coverage on this foundation is buildable, but I found that because it's like a thinner consistency, you can only build it up to a certain point. So what I personally got out of building this foundation up was from a sheer to medium coverage. I didn't get to a medium full coverage, not even close with the foundation on its own. I capped off at about a medium coverage, and this is over more than several uses of this foundation, you know, and layering it up. It layers up really, really nicely, but it does cap off at a medium coverage. So if you have a lot of skin discoloration and things like that, then this on its own might not be the best thing for you. You might want to consider using other cream products in conjunction with it, which I will go ahead and talk about a little bit later. But let's go ahead and talk about the finish. So the finish, you'd think it would be like a matte finish or a satin finish because that's more of like a natural skin finish, but this foundation I found wasn't neither. I got actually a lot more of a dewy finish from applying this foundation, which you will see, you know, in the next video if you don't believe me. But yes, there is a dewier finish to this foundation. If it's not full-on dewy, then I'd say it's like semi-dewy. You do get shines. If you have combination skin or oily skin like I do, bear that in mind if you're thinking about trying this foundation out, that it does have a dewy finish, and you will have to go ahead and powder it down to kind of get rid of some of that shine. Now the ease of use of this foundation is pretty darn good. It's super easy to use, super easy to blend with. It really took no effort at all to get it on. It does take a little bit of time to set, so bear that in mind, you know, but once it does set, it seems okay. I mean, I was able to go ahead and apply like a powder blush on top of this foundation without any moving of the products or without my blush becoming patchy over top. I even airbrush contour over this foundation and it was not patchy at all. Everything kind of sat really well. So ease of use is really good with this foundation. The wear on this foundation, I'd have to say for somebody who's combo and oily, me, okay, the wear of this foundation on its own was not that great. So that being said, if you want to get the most out of this foundation, you're definitely going to have to take the extra steps to go ahead and help it along to increase the longevity. But in my opinion, on its own, it didn't last that great. I found that my makeup was falling apart about an hour into the wear of this foundation. It wasn't until I started using extra steps and things like that that I was able to extend the wear. So I'll go ahead and explain that in a little bit more detail, and you'll see that in my next video about how I use this product to go ahead and get the maximum wear out of it. Now the shade options for this foundation are pretty damn good. Like I stated in the beginning of the video, there's a whopping 71 shades in the GlamAire line. Yes, 71. 58 of those shades are foundation shades that are intermixable, so it's pretty amazing how many shade options that they do have. But I will say that in my sampler set, in the warm set, the darker that you got with the shades in the warm set, the more orange they started to look. So I wasn't really able to utilize some of the darker shades. Just kind of bear that in mind, that there will be variations in some of the shades. Even though it says gold, and it might be a little bit more orange than you'd expect, okay? And you saw in the swatches, you know, what you're gonna get with this foundation. Just in person, shades like Deep Xanth, Midnight Marigold, and Golden Sunset have more of an oranger undertone, and it gets even more orange as you get further down into the deeper tones. So I can't say that it's like that for the rest of the warm tones, but I know like as you get darker from the shade that I use for my color match, it does get a lot more orange. All right, so next I want to go ahead and talk about my pros and cons, okay? Pros and cons. So I gave you a little bit of background about the foundation itself, so that's like the whole review part. These are like my final thoughts here with the pros and cons, okay? So the pros for this foundation for me was that it was buildable, it was easy to use, and it works really well with other mediums and other products, which is amazing, okay? It has a lightweight feel and a pretty natural skin finish. It is a little bit shinier, but like if you have dry skin or something like that, you'd be beat, girl, you'd be beat. Okay, that's about it for the pros. Now into my personal cons, and this is my personal cons based on my experience and all, so please don't come for me. You know, if you've had a different experience, hit me up in the comment section. I would love to know your experience. Maybe we can chit chat, because you know I love to talk about some airbrush makeup. But the cons that I found for this foundation is that the formula is a little bit thinner, and this means that it does require more product to go ahead and get a buildable coverage up to what I'm used to getting. The coverage is buildable, but only to a medium at best. And me personally, on the day-to-day, I like more of a medium to full, closer to full coverage. I did find that it leaves the skin feeling a little bit greasy the longer that you have it on, as well as like when you're taking it off, it does leave like a little kind of greasy like film on the skin that, you know, just a couple of washes with just your standard face wash will get off, but still, you know, it's worth noting. The finish was a con for me because it was a little bit more of a dewier finish, and me being somebody who has combo oily skin, I prefer more of a matte finish. I'd even settle on a satin because I do like that creamy skin look, but this was just a little bit too dewy for my personal preference. Now, another con that I found with the foundations, which I was hoping wasn't true because I'd heard this in the beginning of my airbrush journey about the Graftobian GlamAire foundation and their airbrush makeups, is that it oxidizes. And in my experience, these shades do oxidize, okay? At least the ones that I have. And I don't know if it's because I have oily skin, maybe it's just my skin's natural chemistry that it happens faster, but I found that within an hour or so of having my makeup on, it was already turning a little bit orange. And by the end of the day, I was like maybe 2-3 shades darker than I was when I initially applied the foundation. So just bear that in mind, that if you are going to use this foundation, and if you have combo oily skin like me, you might want to start off with a shade a little bit lighter than your actual skin tone, so that as your natural body chemistry starts to happen, then, you know, you don't have to worry about your face looking, you know, darker or more orange than you want it to. So that was a little bit of a downside for me. Another con for me was that it does take time to set, that it's not self-setting, meaning that you do have to use a powder or a setting spray, of course, depending on your skin type and the preferred finish that you want to get out of this foundation. So just keep that in mind. If you have combo oily skin like me, I definitely recommend setting it with a powder and then going in with a setting spray. If you have like dry to normal skin, you could probably just get away with a setting spray and then just applying setting powder in the areas where you're gonna get creasing, like, you know, the laugh lines, the nostril area, and around the under eye. So yeah, it was a con for me because like I have combo oily skin, and I personally like to do an all airbrush routine. I don't really like to dip too much into powders and things like that because I do have texture on my skin, and I find that using powders kind of accentuates that texture a lot of the time, and kind of throughout the day makes my makeup feel really heavy. So I really like to stay away from powder. So that's pretty much why I categorized it as a con. Now we are down to the final question. Would I recommend this product? My answer to that is yes and no. So the reason why I say yes and no is because it all depends on like your preference and your skin type ultimately when it comes to this product. So if you have dry to normal skin with minimal discoloration and you're just looking for something to even out your skin tone, this foundation would be perfect for you. Like, honestly, you wouldn't have any problems with it because it does a really good job at evening out your skin tone. It's lightweight, it's nice on the skin, it looks wonderful in photos and video, so this, you wouldn't have any problems with this at all. Also, yes, if you don't mind using a cream base for coverage, I found that the best way to utilize this foundation is to go in with the HD cream first, get the coverage that I need, and then do the blow over technique with the GlamAire foundation so that I can get that airbrush finish. And I found that that worked really great for me. So if you don't mind mixing the two and you don't mind using cream base prior to the airbrush and then just using the airbrush to get that beautiful airbrushed finish, then yes, I recommend this foundation for you. I find that doing it that way also eliminates the concept of skin type being a problem with it, because you can definitely use the technique whether you have dry skin or oily skin like I do. So that being said, this would make a great bridal option, just considering the fact that, one, it's cost effective and the shade range is freaking amazing. Okay, so if you're looking for a bridal option and you don't mind mixing cream and airbrush makeup together, this one's gonna be for you. This one's for you, okay? So if you're looking for an all airbrush option, I'd have to say that I wouldn't really recommend the GlamAire line, just because in my experience on its own, it didn't provide all the specs that I needed it to provide to be a one-stop shop. That's based off of my overall review and extensive use of this product. I just don't feel like it would be the one-stop shop for an airbrush artist like me who does the full face. Now, that's not to say that this is a bad product. It's absolutely not a bad product in the airbrush world, but for me, it's definitely not the best airbrush option that I've tried so far. Now, if you want to find better use out of the GlamAire foundation line, I really recommend that you try using it with their HD creams, because I found in conjunction with each other, you got a beautiful end result. And that's actually the way that I personally prefer to use the foundations, because the HD creams are very smooth and creamy, and they're nice and lightweight. They don't feel cakey on the skin, and you can airbrush over it and get that flawless airbrushed finish with the added coverage, which is pretty amazing. So I definitely recommend that if you are going to go ahead and try this out and you have combo oily skin like I do, that you try it out applying the HD cream first and then do the blow over technique with the GlamAire foundation. I promise you, you'll fall in love with the results. I did. Like I said before, I prefer to use it that way, and so I think you're going to get the best results if you decide to go ahead and use it that way in conjunction with the HD creams, okay? So coming up next, I'll go ahead and show you a video on how I personally use it. I did go ahead and use it on my face today to get this end result, and I absolutely love it. The result's beautiful. It's nice, lightweight, not cakey at all. It's definitely comparable to some of my Holy Grail products, so I definitely recommend, you know, go ahead and if you have a moment to check out that video if you can. That should be up shortly after this one. And of course, for argument's sake, I will do a stress test on the foundation alone and on the foundation in conjunction with the HD creams. That way you can go ahead and see what I'm talking about, because it's one thing for me to tell you how it works, and it's a whole nother thing to show you what I mean. Okay, that way you get a really good understanding about why the pros and cons that I listed here are pros and cons, and why my description and review of the product was as such, okay? So definitely stick around to the channel and go ahead and make sure to keep an eye out for those videos. They should be coming up shortly to follow after this one. I am working really hard to go ahead and get videos pumping for you guys, but you know, I'm dealing with some stuff that makes it very hard to film right now, and you know, I just wanted to go ahead and take the moment to say that I appreciate you guys being so patient with me, and hopefully I can get everything back together and back to my normal self again so that I can go ahead and produce the content that you guys want to see. So yeah, so that is going to be it for this video. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I also want to remind you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you choose to subscribe today, or if you are already subscribed, make sure before you leave to go ahead and hit that little bell icon right next to the red subscribe button and turn on your notifications. That way you get the quickest updates anytime I upload a video, because like I said, these other Graftobian videos, you definitely don't want to miss it, okay? I have 2 more videos on this foundation and how to utilize it to its full potential. Anyways, thank you so much again for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!